Hi, Diocese of Delaware. I am Dr. Sarah Stonesifer Boylan, Dean of the Stevenson School for Ministry, and I am thrilled that we are entering into this partnership for shared discernment, vocational education, continuing education, and lay ministry boosting, really, for the entire church. Again, I am just thrilled that we can join in this partnership as we boost up the church, as we enhance ministries throughout the church, and ready ourselves for a different type of 21st century world. The Stevenson School for Ministry focuses on vocational formation and discernment, lay ministries, and continuing education opportunities. Yes, I know that sounds like a lot, but we pack a lot of punch into a very small package. I am joined in leadership by my Associate Dean, Luke Zara, and then also we employ a registrar and an LMS SIS manager. And so that means that we have a pretty robust team along with a diversity of instructors. So you can see some of the names listed here. We pull from a wide variety of the church and our ecumenical partners. It is not just focused in central Pennsylvania, but really pulls the best folks from around the church and from around the country to provide a high quality education for our students, whether they are in vocational training, whether they are in continuing education, or whether they are in lay ministries. Speaking of pulling from the whole church, we have over 14 dioceses represented in our classes this fall, and I can only imagine that that number will increase as we continue to diversify our offerings and to provide lots of different opportunities for church leadership training, for continuing education, for other types of ministries. Stevenson is a primarily online institution. We have classes that use the online synchronous features and asynchronous features. All of our vocational classes and a majority of our continuing education classes have a Zoom component, and then they also have an asynchronous component with our online course site, which is called Populi, which is a very robust option to allow students to interact with each other in between those class meetings. Again, this is a really unique feature of Stevenson to allow for that person-to-person connection and then also allow for access online as well. A majority of our classes are in the evening. All of our vocational courses, which cover priesthood, diaconate, and lay ministries, are all in the evening. So that way we're offering what we can to those folks who work during the day, who are truly bivocational ministers. Again, emphasizing cross-diocesan, I believe in the beauty and the broadness of the church, and again, bringing other dioceses into this adventure really focuses on the breadth of the church and the possibilities of the Episcopal Church. All of our classes are also cross-program. That means that you have those who are preparing for the priesthood, those who are preparing for the diaconate, lay ministries, continuing education, and other focuses, all within the same classes. So again, boosting our understanding of our role and how we interact with each other. We also focus on individual choice and allowing students to choose when they want to take classes. Not everyone is enrolled in the same class at the same time, unlike some other formation programs. And so that way it allows students to figure out their own track and lets them choose when it is best for them to take a class, depending on their work life, home life, and what we are offering any trimester. So again, a quick recap. We offer synchronous classes and online resources to support our learners. We have a very low cost of entry, and we also have a bivocational focus for all of those different ministries. For taking any course, you can see for those who are entering into the vocational ministries, whether that's priesthood, diaconate, or lay ministry licensure, you take a graded course. Each course is $300, and then it is 10 weeks, and you can take it pass, fail, or for a letter grade. If you just want to soak up the amazing instructions and sort of dip your toe back into continuing education, you can always choose to audit a course, which is $150 a course, and you have the huge advantage of being able to be in the room, but you don't have to do any assignments. For continuing education, it does vary from course to course depending on how long it does, or their sort of our community classes vary with all of that. And then we also offer weekend online workshops that are about 2 hours, and they cost $25 each. For our lay ministry licensure training, we have the lay worship leader, which is 3 required courses and 2 required trainings. We have our lay preacher training, which is 4 required courses and 2 required trainings. So to dive deeper into the lay ministry licensure, the 3 required courses are prayer book studies, introduction to the Old Testament, introduction to the New Testament, and then those 2 required trainings of safeguarding God's people and then anti-racism. And so all of these are outlined within the Episcopal Church canons. And so by the end, the person who has gone through the training will be able, should have a fair amount of comfort with leading morning prayer, with leading evening prayer, and be ready to have a conversation with the Commission on Ministry in order to move ahead within that discernment process and to gain the bishop's licensure. Very similar outline for the preaching licensure training. And so you're adding on 2 prayer book studies, intro to the New Testament, intro to the Old Testament. You're adding in a homiletics 1 course. And then of course, those 2 trainings. And of course, as we all know, learning is a lifelong process. We also provide courses that help both worship leaders and preachers continue on this path by diving into electives, whether they are scripture, whether they are worship, or whether they are practical ministry. So I encourage you all to take a look at those as well. For our deacon training, it is a 2-year program for our 10-week courses that are offered in 4 different trimesters. And they focus on introductions to scripture, practical ministry, worship and preaching, church history, ethics, theology, and spiritual practices. So by the end of the 2-year cycle and ticking off all of the requirements, the person who has gone through the diaconate training at Stevenson will be prepared to go before the commission with a fair understanding of what they are needing to do and how the diaconate call applies to them. And they will also have the formation to back that up as well. Going into our continuing education, these are just 2 examples of what we offer. Again, any of those courses any of the vocational courses can also be taken for continuing education. But we also have some community and continuing education classes, like the civil discourse training that's coming up in fall of 2022, and that's led by the Episcopal Church's Office of Government Relations, Church Relations Officer, Alan Yarbrough. And so again, this is a time for any person to take this training to understand how we can live into our Christian call of being political, but not partisan, and encountering those difficult conversations when we need to talk about politics and we need to talk about social justice while also paying attention to what Jesus is telling us to do. Another continuing education offering is building intentional small groups. And again, this is a 4-week course that's offered online. So that way we are sort of feeding every type of ministry leader and every type of formation track. So again, I am thrilled that the Diocese of Delaware is entering into partnership with Stevenson School for Ministry and the Diocese of Central Pennsylvania. And I'm just so excited to be able to walk down this path with all of your new church leaders as they encounter what God is calling them to do. I've added my name, my contact information, and the Stevenson website here, so that way we can be in conversation about how Stevenson can help you to discern your baptismal call and to enhance your own personal formation. I look forward to learning and walking with you soon.